We have the great fortune of being with Allan Shaw from Makaira Boats here this morning. He is the owner of Makaira Boats. If you've been on our channel for a little while, you've seen Makaira on the channel. And of course, we've had a chance to run the 26-footer. This is the all-new 850. This is the equivalent of a 28-footer. Allan, you build these boats in New Zealand. Yeah. You have incredible ocean conditions down there to test your boats on, as we do here in the Northwest. And one thing that was remarkable to me is how well that boat rode last year when we took that 26-footer out. Yeah. The ride is in large part due to this Carolina flare in here and what you do with this aluminum hull. It's pretty rare to see a hull with this configuration that you have in here, but you guys have figured out the design process and the manufacturing process to make this happen. Take us through what's going on right here, buddy, because the ride is all right here.
Yeah, so, well, thank you for having us on. So basically, our hull is quite different to the majority of other manufacturers on the market in that we produce a warped hull. So the hull bottom is what gives you the ride, the flare is what gives you dryness. So when we produce our hulls, we actually warp the hull, so it's variable dead rise. And that's quite a common feature in fiberglass boats. And that's why also there's this misconception that fiberglass boats ride better than an aluminum boat. The material they're made out of has no impact on ride. It's purely hull shape and a little bit of weight. But the main factor with ride is hull shape. So when we produce our hulls, we warp them. And with the 5/16 hull bottom, we put a lot of pressure on a large jig to warp our hull bottoms to meet the structure underneath them. And that on some boats is over 20,000 pounds of pressure. Then we fully weld the underfloor structure. So all the frames and girders, which there's a lot more than your normal aluminium boat, get fully welded on both sides, and that stress relieves the hull bottoms. So if you were to cut these hull bottoms off now, after the welding process, the hull would remain in that shape. So there's no tension remaining in the hull. But the other aspect of our hulls, which is quite different, because we build them essentially backwards to the rest of the industry, when we produce a hull, we put all the frames and girders and stringers on a jig first, then we put our hull bottoms on, and we manipulate them so we get a really nice hull shape. That is very different to the other method of building them, where you just essentially let the hull bottoms choose their own shape and you end up with a very flat bottom. So by us doing that, we put a lot of barrel into the hull bottom, and barrel is very important for ride. If you're hitting a wave with a flat hull bottom, you're going to get slapping. If you hit it with a barreled hull bottom with a lot of shape, it'll squish the water out and you don't have any hard impacts. So as you've seen when you took the 26 for a run, the how hard you can push our boats in a chop and a swell, you pretty much never get those jarring impacts that you normally get in 95%.
I was surprised, wide open throttle, 40 miles an hour, and 3 to 4 foot chop, just blew right through it. No popping, no pounding, no nothing. No. Like,
we built these hulls to Lloyd's special service craft, so that's one of the highest shipping standards. Lloyd's is very well known in the marine industry, and these meet Lloyd's to 25 knots and a meter of sea, or just over 3 feet of sea, for 25 years every day, day in, day out. There is no way a recreational user would even get close to that sort of use out of a boat. But you know, when we do survey in New Zealand, it's actually quite funny. They rate the boat on how big a chop you can go through with passengers on board as part of your survey. And the last time we had one of these hulls surveyed, the independent naval architect who certifies the hull said, I'm not going to put a rating because the hull, by the time you break the hull, the passengers would break their legs. It's that strong. You will not break the hull bottom on this boat. It's beyond the rating of a human capability. So that says a lot.
After running that boat in the San Juan Islands last year, and we weren't in the ocean, mind you, but it was blowing 20 plus knots. And there was a pretty good amount of chop out there. It was coming out of the north. And I'm telling you, it was amazing. So talk about the hull shape down here. I know you've got a level in your hand here.
If you come down low, you can see the amount of warp in the hull. So looking back there, we're around 18 to 20 degrees on most of our transoms. But the real key area of the boat is in the front half of the boat. That's where you're impacting all the waves, and that's where the softness of ride comes from. The dead rise at the transom doesn't actually have so much effect because that's more to do with your efficiency on the plane. If you're entering a wave with your transom, you're way out of the air. It's way too late. You're not really driving that boat safely. It's when you're in a chop or a sea, you want the front half of the boat to be where your dead rise is. So that's why our hulls are warped, and you can see the amount of angle change here. The second thing is the amount of barrel in our hull. You can see I'm flat down there at the bottom.
Yeah, like if you were coming to here.
There's half a foot of barrel in our hull, which is why they don't slap.
Yeah.
So in this boat here, this is 28 foot. I think there's 9 or 10 frames in it. In an equivalent aluminium boat the same size, there's usually 2. So, percentage-wise and hull structure, the difference is massive. But what that really allows us to do is when we put that hull structure on the jig, we can warp these hull sheets. This is a 5/16 bottom. As I said, there's over 20,000 pounds to warp the hull like we do. But that's the game changer as far as aluminium ride to fiberglass.
Yeah.
We can go pound for pound with pretty much any other boat, fiberglass or aluminium. Definitely in aluminium. No one's really doing this warped hull.
Well, after running that 26, you guys nailed it.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we were getting into. We took it out in the islands, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
So, fantastic job.
Yeah. And then I guess the other feature is the flare.
The flare. Everything just sprayed right out, you know.
The bigger the boats get, the more flare we run. Like on our 33, 35 foot boats, we're getting that true Carolina flare.
Yeah.
And the dryness of ride and the following sea, when we're out, we're quite commonly going out in like 50-mile winds. We're doing a 20-mile run to our fishing grounds in those sort of conditions and tournaments and that sort of thing where you don't have an option, you're just fishing. So we really wanted for a long time to get the flare into our hulls. We already had that classic Carolina look, but you could never get the dryness of ride without flare. And that's been in the Gen 3, from Gen 2, that's the real game changer for us.
Well, you can see it on the drone footage. Usually by the time you're right about in here, the water's going straight up into the windshield. On the drone footage, you'll see it spraying clear up into here, right off the bow, and kicking way out off to the side of the boat. You'll see it clearly on the drone footage, and you obviously it's noticeable when you're running the boat. Transition back to the stern here. You can see the welds all along here. I mean, you guys just do an amazing job putting these boats together. And then that transitions back to 16 degrees of dead rise in the stern?
18 to 19.
Oh, 18 to 19, okay.
So,
but again, you never use that.
No.
Unless you're catching air, which you shouldn't be doing anyways,
Yeah, for sure. Like, as I said earlier, the real work is done in the forward half of every hull. Transom dead rise, it does have some impact, but if you're getting clean out the water and you're relying on your transom to give you a soft ride, it's too late. It's too late. So.
And then of course, twin 225 Mercury Marine outboards.
Yes, goes really well, really efficient. We got over 50 mile an hour. It's 46 knots.
Wow. So really for the angler that wants to fish offshore, whether it be West Coast, East Coast, New Zealand, anywhere, you can trailer this boat, launch it anywhere, and do just about whatever you want with it.
Yeah, so we build trailer boats up to 33 feet. So this is the middle of the range for our trailer boats. And they're easy to tow. We build our own aluminium trailers.
Love the U-decking everywhere, Allan. Really warms up these aluminum boats, and it cools them down too on those hot days as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. It helps for sure. It gives you a softer feel. Most people hop in our boats and they don't really even realize that they're aluminium. They're used to them being these utilitarian sort of rugged fishing boats.
It really doesn't look aluminum.
No.
From the hull to the interior, and we'll show you in a minute the yacht finishes in the cabin, but this doesn't look like an aluminum boat. Love the workstation here, and of course this comes out as well. And it sounds like you guys pull that out quite a bit when you're marlin fishing and whatnot on this boat.
Big bait tank in here, nice radius corners. So when we're marlin fishing or live bait fishing, we typically don't run the bait board. We just leave it at home.
And probably got rigging in there.
Yeah, so fuel locker on one side and the steering on the other.
Raw water wash down.
Yeah, there's a freshwater wash down in that locker too.
Okay, side trays.
Yeah.
We've got grab handles, tons of rocket launchers up here for all your rods. And then this stern steering station runs that kicker motor independently of the mains, right?
Yeah, so we can do it either way. We can do a tie bar or we can do it independent.
Yeah.
Depends what the customer wants.
Got a little storage under here. Like so. Throw a cooler in there, maybe some bags or something, keep them dry. I see speakers right there. That's a nice place to sit while you're trolling.
Yeah.
Watching for that bill.
Yeah.
That windshield wiper back there, right?
Yeah, that's you know the story.
We've got deck lights here. Love the ability to open up this cabin here.
Yeah, so this is quite a nice feature of our boats that you can, you know, on a cold day or even a hot day if you're running an AC unit on the boat, you can lock up the cab. So you can even run it half locked. So sometimes if it's rough, we'll just run the boat like this. You can still get in and out.
Yeah.
But it keeps the warmth in the cab, and you can,
But you still got some ventilation in there,
Still
so
got
the
some
windows don't
ventilation.
get all fogged up. Yeah.
Yeah, so really nice feature. And also, like on a hot day, you open it up and the people inside the cabin are still part of what's happening on the back deck. So in our larger boats where we have a head, we always put the head under the dash. We never put the head in this
Because it
part of
blocks
the boat.
off this whole.
This is the
area.
prime real estate of a boat.
It is, yeah.
Why would you, how often do you use the bathroom? 5 minutes every morning?
Yeah.
And then you've used all this prime real estate in the
Yeah.
boat. So like when my wife and kids come out, they'll sit here in the seat like this, and we'll be out the back fishing. We can talk. Everyone's included.
Yeah.
It's a really social part of the boat. And when we're running, you sit here as well. It's really nice. You can forward face, and you're further back in the boat. A lot of people get hung up on sitting in a seat at the dash.
Yeah.
The further back in the boat, the less jarring you'll get
For sure.
from going
Better
up and
the ride
down.
is.
So that's why we run this arrangement like we do.
Got a nice, good sized sink here, toaster oven, and then there's no dissimilar metals in here, right?
Yeah, so that's really important for us. We want our boats to last a long time. So yeah, all that hinge there, that latch, this is a aluminium latch, plastic pin, plastic spring, plastic housing.
Yeah.
So like 100 years time, that won't be corroded. It'll look and work the same way it does the day you bought it. And the same thing for these slides. We do roller slides on some of our nicer timber cabinets on the interiors of boats, but this slide arrangement here is actually designed so you can wash it with a saltwater wash down. So if it's out on the back deck, quite often we're putting tackle drawers and that sort of thing. You can wash that down, salt water, 1,000 years time. It'll
Bulletproof.
Still be like it is.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for us.
Large drawer down here.
Making the boats as bulletproof as we can as far as longevity. Obviously aluminium gets a bit of a bad reputation from corrosion.
Yeah.
So that's why we eliminate as much dissimilar metals as we can in the boats. And also our paint process that we use is really designed with that in mind. We don't put paint anywhere where it has the potential to fizz. So in places like our live well, we don't paint around the lip of the live well. We don't paint any hatches because they're just going to corrode, and in 5 years.
I noticed the gunnels too.
Yeah,
There's
the
no
gunnels.
paint up on the gunnels. That's where you get corrosion.
Yeah.
Where those stainless cleats are and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
It's bulletproof, but it's got yacht finishes everywhere. Look
Yeah.
at this cabin. I mean, everything is premium finishes throughout, you know.
all right. So this is a pretty standard dash for us. So we vinyl upholster all the dashes. And we typically run Garmin. All our inboard boats run Garmin because of the Volvo inboard and stern drive. They standard fit the glass cockpits now, and we just carry that through into our outboard boats. That's not to say you can't have Fruno or some rad. We fit all that too, but typically Garmin. Heater control here, bow thruster, zip wake tabs, VHF. We just try to keep the dash really clean, and mount everything in the boat properly, not on little brackets and stuff like that. Yeah, try to keep it tidy.
Comfortable helm seat here, bolster style.
Yeah, so this
pretty
is-
much seeing that everywhere now.
Yeah, this is our standard helm seat. We do an upgraded helm seat with armrests on it for the bigger boats, but this is a nice seat.
Yeah.
Sit there, you're running, got everything within reach. So
And you don't need an air ride, really. I mean,
it's a funny thing.
I was surprised.
Everyone hops on the boat and they go, "Oh, I need a soft rider seat." It's like, well, you probably
the air ride's right up there in the bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, underneath this boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we fish quite differently in New Zealand too. Like we pretty much never sit down and drive just because it's so rough.
Yeah.
Like, when we fish tournaments, we're out in sometimes 3 meters, 40 knots of wind.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, that's rough.
So we don't really sit down and drive so much. Yeah, we've got a Dometic fridge. This is our standard fridge we run in all the boats. The table here drops down in this particular model, so you can make it into a day bed. And then moving forward, we've got a head with a black water tank as well, and nice squabs. There's an infill there. You can sleep 2 or 3 people in there, and another child maybe up on the table drop down. Really nice use of the space. In our bigger boats, we actually have full head height in the forward cabin. So when you get up to the 950-10, the boat's over 30 feet, we run 2 bunks, and they come with an underberth as well. So in the bigger boats, you can sleep 6 adults in full-size beds, which is not a very common feature for a trailer boat.
Thanks for taking the time, Alan.
No worries.
Appreciate it, man. Can't wait to see you again.
Yeah.
You need to make it, a little more than once a year at the boat show, but
maybe we could get you out to New Zealand,
hey,
take you for a run.
I'd be
show
all
you
over
the
that.
factory.
I'd be all over
We'll
that.
see.
You might not get rid of me, but yeah, be all over that. Hey, if you want more information on these Makaira boats, makairaboats.com, and you'll probably be seeing more here on Live to Boat as well of these beautiful Makairas. We just love these boats. That's been Live to Boat this week. If you like this video, click on the one we've got for you right down below. We'll catch you next time on Live to Boat.